Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is all about process object within Node.js and how we could actually utilize that. The process object is technically a global object within Node.js. It can be accessed inside any module without requiring it, and we can capture command line arguments with it. Now, people who are not aware about the command line arguments, these are the arguments which are supplied by the end user in the form of arguments or certain, let's say, numbers or text or anything whenever we are going to run the Node.js program. So process object could actually access those command line arguments passed by the end user, and they could be further utilized. So let's try to get our hands dirty and see how process object actually works practically in Node.js. So let's try to use the process object and how we can use it. And as I mentioned, the process object does not need any kind of a required statement. It could be directly accessed because it's a global object. So let's say I'm just going to use a very simple thing out here, that is console.log, and we say the process ID is something like this, and we just pass on process.id. Now if I try to run this, I'm actually trying to run and see the process number that's actually assigned for the Node.js or the program what we are trying to run it. So if I just try to run this, let's say node and test.js, so it's not ID, it's PID, that's the process ID. So I'll try to run it one more time. And yes, you could see the process ID is 6884. It's just kind of a number that's maintained by the operating system. Now we could also utilize the process object for getting some more information. Let's say version of Node.js. So if I do that and let's say I'll say process.versions.node, and if I try to run it now, so it not only gives me the process, which is a different one now because operating systems assigned it dynamically, and we are also getting the version of the Node.js, which I'm using like 18.12. So that's the version which I'm using. Now, fundamentally, I could also capture the command line arguments through this. So if I say process command line arguments, and if I say something like process.argv, now if I try to run this and let's see how it actually displays that. So we could see the command line arguments right now. It is giving me in the form of an array, which is two arguments. One is the actual node because it captures the node. That's the actual program which we are trying to run, so it gives me the complete path for that. The second one is the actual file name which I'm running. This is the second one, but this all comes in the form of an array. So if you see, this particular one is index 0, this is index 1, and we could also give certain another arguments which we could use. So let's say if we want to use those arguments and we want to pass it like that. So for example, I'll say const, and I'll say 2, because these are the two arguments which I just want to capture for node and test.js. And then I'll just want to capture my first name and my last name. So if I want to capture that, and I'll say process.argv. Now process.argv actually gives you all the process arguments which are even the user defined, and I'm going to put all those arguments within the first name and the last name. Those two arguments I'll supply it. The first two arguments are automatically picked up by Node.js. That's the node and the file name which you are trying to run. Now once it is done, I could actually print that with the help of text symbols. Your name is, and I'll say first name and dollar last name. Okay, now let's try running this. So while running this, I'm gonna supply Rohit, done. So these are the two command line arguments that I have supplied. So the first name is the first, that is Rohit, and the second is Dhan, my last name. So I'm supplying these two arguments except for node and test.js, which is automatically picked up. Now the moment I press enter, it actually shows me all those four arguments in the form of an array, and I'm just picking up the index of third, that is second, and the fourth, the 0, 1, 2 and 3, so means the second and the third index. Technically this is the third element and the fourth element out of those command line arguments. So this is how you could use your command line arguments in case your program requires, or you have a strong use case for using these in your stuff what you're working around. And not only the command line arguments, we could also use to capture the process ID or the nodes version or other information. So thank you guys. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I'll be coming back with more videos. So stay tuned. Have a good one. Thank you.